Hi! In this video, we'll provide some mock test sample answers and give you a question set so that you can practice on your own. Those will be two separate videos, but they'll be easy to find, and we wish you good luck. Do you prefer to read newspapers or magazines? I read both occasionally. I enjoy reading magazines more. The articles are typically longer, more diverse, and more in-depth. They allow the reader to think deeply about a topic and consider multiple perspectives, which I enjoy. Do you prefer to read the news online or in the newspaper? For most of my life, I've preferred the actual newspaper. But it's been years since I read one. Now it's just so much more convenient, not to mention environmentally friendly, to read the news online. So all the news I read these days is online. How old were you when you first started to read newspapers? I remember reading the sports pages when I was only 6 or 7. I liked to check the baseball box scores and game write-ups. Often I couldn't stay up to watch the end of the game, so checking the scores in the morning paper was a special thrill. Do you think it's important to read newspapers? I think it's important to be generally aware of what's going on in the world. That said, there's so much news that I don't think anyone should feel compelled to be up to date on every issue. Maybe a more realistic goal is to focus on local news, so we understand the key issues in our community. One group activity that I thoroughly enjoyed, even though I didn't expect to enjoy it at all, was participating in a team-building retreat with my company. It took place last year at a beautiful countryside resort a few hours outside our city, where we stayed for 3 days and 2 nights. As is common in these types of events, we did a lot of interactive team-building exercises and problem-solving challenges. Some of the team building was a bit silly, but as long as you don't take yourself too seriously, those exercises can be fun, and actually, they help build relationships. Ultimately, it was fun to spend time with people from various departments and form new connections. I knew everybody who was there by name, but I'd only met a few of them in person before. Like many companies these days, we have teams scattered throughout the country. Some people work fully remotely from their homes. Others work a hybrid arrangement where they're in the office a few days a week and at home the other days. Moving from chatting online or joining video calls to an in-person social setting was great. By the end, we felt like we learned more about each other in a few days than we would have learned in a few months of working on the same remote team. The picturesque location also added to the enjoyment of the retreat. There were forest trails that were great for running or walking, lush greenery everywhere, and fresh air that provided a refreshing break from our usual office setting. Each meal was served buffet style, and the food was surprisingly delicious and diverse, including the cuisine of various countries in Asia, Europe, and the Americas. The whole event was exceptionally well orchestrated. It seemed like every detail was handled with care, and this led to a great experience for everyone who attended. But even more important than the quality of the food, setting, or events, it was enjoyable because of the people, my colleagues, who are dedicated and hardworking professionals, but also just good people I'm lucky to know. What kinds of jobs require people to work in a team? I would say that most jobs these days require people to work in a team. Within a typical business, you'd likely see teams of people working on various tasks like marketing, accounting, and sales. In healthcare, it requires teams of doctors, nurses, and administrators to provide care. And in creative or engineering fields, the end product, whether it's a website or a new building, is always going to be the result of large numbers of people working on teams. What can parents do with their children to make them happy? First, I would say that it depends on the child. Even within a single family, what works for one child might not work for the other. But in general, the first thing parents can do is to be supportive and attentive to a child's interests. Having honest conversations and paying close attention to their children will help parents notice what makes each child unique. Beyond support and attention, parents can also help children set goals and work towards those goals. How can children improve their social skills? I've never thought of that before. Since social skills are not something we go to a classroom to learn, I would say that the best thing to do is to raise children in a socially enriching environment. This can be anything from what they call play dates with other kids to large family gatherings and everything in between. As long as children have the opportunity to socialize and perhaps get feedback and guidance along the way, they'll learn from their experience. If problems persist, parents can consult a professional for additional help.